welcome back to the channel. Today I want to give you 5 Xbox Game Pass games that you should be playing because they're completely free if you're subscribed to Xbox Game Pass. Now, I've been kind of really all over the place since my news the other week, and I haven't slept in like 48 hours. I'm knackered, I'm exhausted. I slept probably about 1 hour, and I've been trying to find games to keep my brain occupied, and I've got all these games to show you. So if it's something you're interested in, let me know what you think about the games down below in the comment section. And if you have any other games on any other platforms, you know, that are basically free and not really going to cost any money, leave it in the comments because I'm looking for new games. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, first and foremost, we have Octopath Traveler, a role-playing game that I have completed multiple times on Nintendo Switch to completion. The game is phenomenal, but if you haven't played it on Nintendo Switch or you don't have a Nintendo Switch, it's now available on Xbox Game Pass. I highly suggest you pick it up if you love role-playing games. Now, it's like an old NES styled sprite game, but it has this kind of like HD aesthetic to it, and it's got like a foreground and a background, and it's just a very beautifully created game. You are not going to get bored looking at this game. It's amazing. It's voice acted in most parts of the game, and the voice acting is really good. There's a little bit of a question about the little noises they make in the parts that aren't voice acted, but you get used to it. The unique thing about this game is the battle system. Now, the battle system is basically each and every enemy has an armor rating, so they might have a 1 or a 2 or a 3, and you have to hit them that many times to weaken them to be able to crack their shield and then do major damage to them. They get stunned for a turn and then you do major damage to them. So if you've got a team set up that doesn't have a bow and arrow and one of your enemies is weak to a bow and arrow, it's going to be very hard to find their weakness to break them to do major damage to them, especially with bosses. Bosses are super challenging. You have to really think about your team and your setup and what you're going to do and in the order that you're going to do it. It's an incredibly challenging game. It's incredibly beautiful, and the story is great as well. There's 8 characters. You start off with one of them and you run through their kind of first missions and stuff, and you get to a point where then you get to another character and you do their opening missions until you have all 8 characters on the go. You can recruit them into your teams and they all cross paths at some point or another. It's an incredibly well thought out game. It lasts a good amount of hours, so you're not going to get bored of it. It's just a brilliant game. Check it out. Okay, so if you like roguelikes, there's a game called Neon Abyss. Now, I know a lot of people play this game, but I think a lot of people missed out on it too. It came out in 2020, I believe. Like most roguelikes, you know, there's rooms that you go into, you kill a whole bunch of enemies, you collect things, you fight bosses, you power up, you get weird and wacky things to use, like different weapons, etc. And then obviously when you die and you return back to the start, then you can spend money in like a skill tree to make your game easier, or, you know, make your characters stronger, or unlock new characters, because there's a lot of characters to use in this game. All around, this game is just phenomenal. The colors and how bright it is, how good it feels to fire and attack things. Can be a little bit tricky at first if you're not used to playing it on controller, because I started out on mouse and keyboard, but once you get used to the controller keys, it's just incredible. The only thing, if you're going to play this, go into the options and turn off the left stick up as jump and just use your trigger button to jump instead. But the amount of variety that's in this game is absolutely just unbelievable. And the builds that you can make and the things that you can do, it's just such a fun game. Never-ending fun, in my opinion. The bosses are incredible. Some of them are really, really difficult, but it's also as well, if you put enough planning and time into it and you get lucky with the right rolls and stuff, you can obliterate everything, every single boss. It's just one of those kind of like rewarding games when you do get lucky and you do have the right build and stuff. So if you like roguelike games and you haven't played Neon Abyss, I highly, highly suggest it. Next up, we have a first-person shooter called Brodius. If you haven't seen this yet, it's just such a cool kind of throwback to old first-person shooters. Think about Doom, think about Quake, think about Wolfenstein, those types of era of games. The screen is super pixelated. You can set it to be different kind of settings in your graphics to make it a little bit easier on the eye. You can change it to look like a CRT. You can have it pixelated. You can change it to 360p. You can change it to native, which makes it just more clean, but still kind of pixelated. It's just an incredible amount of options. There's multiplayer too. Multiplayer is phenomenal. And going through this game, it reminds me a lot of Doom. You can see the influences from Doom more so than the other games. And it's just a fun game. The guns are amazing. You know, you just get thrown into the game. It's not like something you really have to kind of figure out. You just get thrown into the game and you're shooting things. The amount of gore and blood in this game is unbelievable. Like, you just hit an enemy with a shotgun from close range and they just explode all over the place. It's one of those kind of really, really good throwbacks to old games without kind of copying them, as to say. Like, it's its own thing, but it's obviously got a lot of influences. Absolutely amazing game. I highly suggest it. The multiplayer is a lot of fun too. Could be a little bit of lag here and there, but for the most part it just runs smoothly and it's a lot of fun. There's different game modes, you know, all that kind of stuff. Just check it out. I highly suggest it. It's an amazing first person shooter, and it's not something you really have to dive into and get involved in too much. You know, you could just play it here and there and not have to worry about it, but play it. It's amazing. Okay, the bane of my existence is this game. You suck at parking. And yes, I suck at parking. I'm going to be doing some probably live videos of this game today, and I'll upload them in the next few days. But my god, this game is frustrating and annoying, but it is super rewarding when you finally actually complete levels. So basically, you have like a whole top-down type of situation. You drive forward, you cannot reverse. You have to just direct the car left and right from above, so it's kind of like a weird angle, but once you get used to the controls, it's very fun, but it can also be frustrating. You have a certain amount of gas or petrol to get to a parking spot, and you have to stop in the parking spot to be able to complete the level. Now, if there's multiple ones, you have to do it multiple times, so you have a time limit also. So let's say you have a minute to complete 3 parking spaces. You have to make sure you're pinpoint perfect on every single time you travel to a parking spot. You could probably miss 2 or 3 times and respawn, but it's a fun game. There's a lot of like tricks and traps and stuff. The footage you're seeing is just the first few levels. I'm assuming it's going to get way harder by the end of the game, but it is a unique, different game that, you know, we don't usually see in the world right now, but it's a lot of fun. Even as frustrating as it is, it's a lot of fun. Check it out. And last but not least, Chinatown Detective Agency. This is a game that I saw a while back but just never got the chance to play, and now that it's on Game Pass and it's free, I thought, you know, I'll jump into it. Now, I'm not very far into the game, but it has been very impressive so far. The voice acting is kind of goofy, but it also kind of fits the aesthetic of the game. If you think of a game like Broken Sword, that kind of side-scrolling screen-to-screen game, this is very familiar to that style of game, but there's just a little bit more that you can get involved in. So like, for instance, you're trying to solve crimes and, you know, you're being employed by people to figure things out, but you can use, or you have to use sometimes, real life internet. So you personally have to go onto Google and type in what you think is the clue, get the answer, and then put it into the game to get, you know, if you've solved it. So like, for instance, at the start of a game, you need to find a library book, and all you have is a quote. You Google that quote, you see who wrote the book, you put it into the game, and then you're at a library in the game, and then you find it, and then it leads on to more clues and more things to progress the game. The voice acting is a little bit goofy in the game, but it kind of also fits the aesthetic. It's a beautifully drawn game too, very pixelated, you know, those types of old style games like Broken Sword, for instance, but obviously with a modern day twist. You can go anywhere, you can go to anywhere you want in the game at any time. It's like a system where you open the map and you click on a place, and then you essentially, a train door closes on your screen and then it opens up at the next place that you wanted to go to. So it's not like open world, but it's like open instance. Every time you go to a new place, you can walk around, talk to people, interact with things, which is obviously very important to the game too, because you got to figure things out and stuff. So it's a very interesting, unique game in my opinion, and definitely worth trying out if you have the time. I don't know how long the game lasts. I feel like you could probably get a good 15 hours out of it, seeing what I've seen so far, you know, so check it out. And those are all the games that I've been playing over the past week or so, but specifically over the past 2 days. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Check out the games, all that good stuff. Bye. Peace.